Sorry about the recording messes. Yeah, we're going to go over some of the key use cases enabled by these AI agents. This is going to be less of a demo, more of a, hey, we can do these things with AI agents today in production type of conversation. And yeah, I would love to kind of get feedback as we talk about all these things. And please make sure to use the chat below to, voice any questions or anything that you may have. Hey Maya, where's everyone coming from today? I am in Austin, Texas. Looks like Maya's in Europe. Arizona. Nice. Hope it's not too hot out there. Hello, Andrew. I love San Diego. All right. Give me one moment. I'm going to check in with my team real quick, and then we'll get started right away. Hayward, California, San Francisco. We've got folks joining in from all corners of the world. While we're waiting for the team, quick question for you guys. How did you find out about this webinar? If you don't mind sharing on the chat. Right. I think we have Ashish in the call as well. Email, that's great. Hey Ashish, welcome
Hey
to
guys.
the webinar. Yeah, we were just waiting a few minutes here, but I think we can get started now. Um, why don't we start with a quick introduction here, and then what we can do is, we'll start with a quick high-level overview of our what our platform is. Just we'll keep it short, and then we can jump right into the use cases. I want this session to be more dynamic, and let's just go over some key things that we can do with AI agents today, and then yeah, would love to have a little Q&A section towards the end with all the questions that you guys may have. So I'll start. My name is Kaushal Subedi. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of the company. And yeah, we've been building phone agents as well as website chatbots and all sorts of different agents for about 3 years now. We were actually one of the first pioneers in this space and had a product out before ChatGPT was even a thing. So yeah, we've learned quite a lot about what works, what doesn't work, all the gaps and all the highs and lows of these AI agents for different types of businesses throughout the time. And our goal today is to share some of those with you and get some feedback as well as questions. So I'll pass it to Ashish here quickly, and then we'll jump right in.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining in this webinar. I'm Ashish Ghimire. I'm one of the co-founders and COO of echowin. Today we're going to explore how AI phone agent and voice agents can transform customer operations and growth for different types of businesses, right? At echowin, we built a platform that lets you create AI agents that not just answer calls, but they handle tasks that come out of those customer calls, automate workflows for you, and for different parts of business operation, and then also integrate with different tools and processes that you already use. Let's think of how many customer calls go unanswered on a daily basis, right? Or how many customers we miss after hours because we don't have support available. And let's think about how many repetitive questions could be automated so that you can actually focus on your business operation. And that's the reason we built echowin. And from day one, it's been our vision, and day one was a month before ChatGPT was launched publicly. And it was to make sure this technology is accessible and available to everyone so that we can build and deploy our own solutions easily. And you don't have to be tech savvy and prompting expert to build and deploy agents for your simple use cases and operations, right? That is our mission. And with that, I'll pass it to Kay, and then he'll go over different use cases in different parts of the platform. And yeah, and once again, welcome.
Yeah, good to see some familiar names here as well as a lot of new ones. Yeah, so at a high level, echowin is an AI agent builder platform and can be used in so many different ways. Now, we started as a call automation platform where we were helping different types of businesses, everything from small mom and pop stores all the way to Fortune 40 enterprises with their phone call automations. And over time, the platform evolved to be quite a lot more than that. We launched website chatbots soon after that. And at this point, the same agent that you create can be deployed across multiple channels, everything from WhatsApp to your website chatbot to phone to Discord. And we have a bunch more coming as well. Okay, that being said, hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of what the platform is. Please check out our website if if you're completely new to echowin and want to learn more. That being said, today's focus is going to be more on some of the use cases that we've seen, come across our radar. So let's start with the obvious stuff, right? So there's quite a few use cases that are tried and tested, and you guys have probably built agents and deployed agents in production for some of these use cases. One of the most obvious ones is using these AI agents as an AI receptionist. Now, there are 35 million small businesses in the US alone, and globally, that number is massive. And almost half of these businesses need to use phone calls in some form. Now, when we talk about enterprises and other bigger sized businesses, the numbers are huge, right? And right now, there's a big problem in the industry, which is scaling customer support or scaling initial human touch point is an issue that we've seen across the band when it comes to these businesses. Lots of businesses rely on these phone calls for lead generation, and it's the first touch point for their customers to get an understanding, of something about the business. But every time these calls go missing, businesses are losing valuable customers and revenue as a secondary. And that is one thing that can be obviously solved by these AI agents. And we've seen AI receptionist use cases that have helped businesses scale quite rapidly. And a lot of the times, this could be as simple as picking up the phone call and routing it to the right person, right? So if you call most places today, the typical setup is you'll probably be greeted with one of these old school IVR systems where it's like, hey, press one for English, press two for Spanish. And you go ahead and press that button, and then you get greeted with another menu with like 8 options. And whatever you're calling for usually doesn't even end up in one of those 8 options. So you're like confused about where to go from there. Sometimes we just like hit zero, but then maybe you pick a menu option and you go through another page of menu options, and then finally you get transferred to a person. And even that process takes a while because you're like usually put on hold for 10-20 minutes, and then by the time you get to a person, it's just such a frictionful experience. AI agents are quickly kind of reshaping what this customer journey looks like. Instead of having to wait on hold or go through pages and pages of menus, customers can interact directly by talking in plain English. The AI agent would pick up the phone call, say, "Hey, thank you for calling, blah blah blah. How may I help you?" And even things like picking languages, they can be done automatically, right? So instead of pressing two for Spanish, you can just say, "Talk to me in Spanish," and then the AI agent quickly switches over to Spanish and starts talking to you in that language. And then even when you have ambiguity about who to reach out to within the business, you can just let the agent know in plain English what you're trying to accomplish, and the agent can dynamically decide who the right person to route the call to would be, right? So sometimes the customer might not know that they need to talk to sales for something that might not be directly related to sales, for example. right? So maybe maybe they had some question about the product, but it's more of a sales question. These agents can handle ambiguity and vagueness, and they can they can make sure that the person is routed to the right place. So that's one of the obvious use cases we've seen come across. And with echowin's platform, you can build these AI agents really quickly. On this note, I do want to show a tool that's currently available in our platform that we don't talk enough about. It's called Magic Instructions. Let me quickly share my screen here. While I do that, let me know if you guys have any questions or anything like that. Mhm. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Let me quickly open the chat window. That way, see what everyone is saying. Okay, great. So this is our training interface. You guys are probably familiar with this if you've already used the platform. If not, this is kind of like where you go to instruct your agent on how to handle phone calls or all of these conversations across different channels. And think of this as like the prompting area. Let's just put it that way. Now, first, just to quickly get started with a new agent, there's this little tool. It's called Magic Instructions. And what this lets you do is it lets you put in a few key details about the type of business and the type of agent you're trying to build. And it will generate basically like a really good starting point or blueprint for that kind of agent. And just as an example, I am going to let's just build an agent for echowin. Let's just see how that goes. So business name, I'm going to say echowin, industry, let's see, other, and AI agent builder. Let's just put our website here. And I'm going to say it's going to be a um, customer support role. Um, and then you can quickly describe what the agent is supposed to do here. You can be as detailed as you want or as vague as you want, and then they'll kind of take it from there. And then as soon as you hit generate prompt, now what this system is doing is there are AI agents that go out to the internet. First, they'll kind of browse your website, kind of try to understand the context of what you're trying to build. Based on that, and then these agents will also go out to the public internet and find all publicly available information about your business and quickly give you a nice starting point. And the reason I mentioned this is, a lot of you guys are probably coming from an agency background where you're going to be working with a lot of different clients and will be building multiple different AI agents for different industries and different businesses. This is a quick way to build a prototype or a good starting point, which then you can kind of build upon and add more things on top of, right? Okay, as you can see, just by doing that, there were new sets of instructions generated, as well as some tools that were recommended, right? Let's quickly walk through this just to kind of get an idea. Okay, there was a greeting that was auto-generated, and then some core workflows were added to the instruction. So answer product questions, right? So it automatically added instructions to check knowledge base for features, pricing, and integrations. I focus on key capabilities. By the way, I didn't input any of this, right? All of this was pulled directly from our website. The fact that we support multilingual or 30 plus languages and all the integrations. And same with like billing and refund requests, how to handle customer support, and customer management, lead qualification. You get the idea. I'm not going to bore you with details. Just want to quickly show that so that you would have a way to quickly try out these different agents and see how it works in production. Okay, I'm gonna quickly switch back to AI receptionist again. So for AI receptionist, right, one big use case is the transferring of calls. And the way you instruct your agent to transfer the calls is just by letting it know that, hey, for sales queries or anything that might be related to the sales team, transfer the calls over to sales. And then you would do the same with like customer support and whatever else you're trying to route the calls to. So let's quickly build that out. Let me clear up these instructions. And I'm just going to make bullet points just to make it easier for us. For any sales queries, transfer the calls over to the sales team. And we'll say for any customer support issues, transfer calls over to customer support team, right? And just by explaining that, what we can do now is we can add a tool that'll actually allow the agent to transfer the calls. In this case, I'm going to use this multi-transfer tool that allows you to your agent to transfer calls to multiple people. So in this case, I'm going to say sales team, and then you'll put in the phone number 720-000. This is a random number for now. And then you can add multiple targets. So you can say customer support, and just like that. That's it. Now your AI agent can pick up phone calls. It'll, and it can route the phone call just kind of based on the context of the conversation. Now you can instruct things like ask the caller ask the caller some details about why they are calling and transfer them to the right team, right? So just like that, the agent will actually, practically ask you why you're calling. And we can also change the greeting to kind of fit that better. So let's do that. Thank you for calling echowin. Please briefly describe why you are calling so that I can route you to the right team, right? That's it. Now our agent is ready to start transferring calls. So let's quickly try that out maybe. Delete some older tools we had. Okay, let's go to testing. And so this is our testing environment for those of you that are not familiar. You can like pick different voices and all sorts of different options. Not going to bore you with the details there, but let's go and start the session.
Thank you for calling echowin. Could you please briefly tell me the reason for your call so I can connect you with the right team?
Yeah, hey, I have been billed more than what I should have been billed. How can you help me with this? Not sure why it's taking longer. This is definitely, oh, there we go. Oh, it tried to transfer me, but since we're in a testing environment, it cannot actually transfer the call. But if this was a real world phone call, then it would have actually transferred me. Now, one way to kind of test these transfers, this testing environment is so that you can quickly try out different things. But if you want to see what the transfers look like, you can also go to this second tab here called phone call, and you can just dial this testing phone number to try your agent out over a phone call, and that will actually do the full transfer and everything. But hopefully that gives you an idea. So let's go back to instructions. Transferring calls, pretty straightforward. One thing I do want to mention here is that using an AI agent or a platform like ours for call routing is more than just about routing the call. It's also going to give you a lot more visibility into what happened during the call. Now, those of you that have used the platform already might already be aware of all the visibility and reporting tools we have, but let's quickly go to call logs here. Our platform first, right? Anytime these conversations happen, anytime your AI agent picks up your phone call, you'll see live transcripts on everything, and you'll be able to see what's going on with your AI agent right away. But in case of transfers, right, we give you call recording as well as transcripts, even for the transferred portion of the call. Let me see if I have an example here. This is roughly what it would look like. It's probably not the best example, but when the call gets transferred, you'll be able to come back to the portal and see what happened during the transfer portion of the call, and you can use this information for improving your customer service operations within your business, or getting any other visibility or analytics from here. So that's available. You'll also get call recording for the transferred portion of the call, and then our sentiment analysis engine, summaries, everything, right? Like everything still works with the transfer. So using an AI agent for these transfers doesn't just make your customer's journey better. It'll also help them. It'll also help you as a business owner make better decisions with all the visibility we provide. Okay, so that's call transfers. Now let's quickly go back to the agent instructions here. Another.
couple of things, if I may add on the call transfer things. There could be a variety of different scenarios where you may want to escalate those calls. For example, we saw a scenario where if somebody is looking for sales queries, in some cases, if somebody starts yelling human, 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 then you can have the agent transfer the call. So you can really define a variety of different scenarios based on your operations. And in some critical scenarios, you may not want the AI agent to handle those calls at all, right? And so you can train the agent to directly transfer the call to the right team in those scenarios. And once again, training is simple and easy. Just write it in plain English, explain the scenario, and tell the agent to transfer the call when that happens. That's it. Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, Ashish. These are AI agents and they can make decisions just like a person would, right? And a lot of the times, let's say your front desk receptionist picks up a call and someone's clearly very angry about billing. Instead of going through like a typical flow of like asking 10 questions and then transferring them, they would probably directly transfer the call over, right? So you can instruct your agent to make those kind of decisions. So you can just say things like, if the caller sounds angry or agitated, transfer the call directly to the customer support team, and that's going to help you make sure that that your customers don't have to, wait around or try to like figure out how to get to a person. So I would recommend, instructing your agent to kind of handle these situations accordingly. But thanks for mentioning, actually. Great. Any questions around transfers? I think it's pretty straightforward. And I think this is one of those use cases that will apply across any type of business. I mean, whether that's
I
vendor escalations. Go ahead, Ashish.
Oh, I was just going to add one more thing on transfers. If you have pretty extensive operations, you have multiple different teams, and for different customer scenarios and vendor scenarios, you're transferring to different people. You can actually build a quite extensive call router within echowin just by explaining things in plain English and just adding
Right.
their phone numbers. For example, you could route the call to Mike and Bob and sales team and 15 other teams, and just simply explain things in plain English for your agent. And on the transfer call tool, just add all the relevant numbers and names, and that's it.
Now, one other benefit that we didn't really get to talk about a whole lot is also handling overflows, right? So there might be periods of time where the business doesn't get any phone calls at all, but then all of a sudden it's rush hour, and everyone starts dialing in at the same exact time. In those cases, first, these AI agents can kind of act like a pre-screening agent, right? So they can ask some questions and only transfer the right relevant calls over to a person while still providing the information that the caller is looking for. I mean, if you're a restaurant, for example, you'll probably have like 70-80% of your calls are probably just questions like, hey, do you guys have outdoor seating? Or, hey, are you guys open today? Or sometimes it may be like, hey, where are you guys located, right? So it'll be like a set of some questions, and you don't want calls coming in for like booking a reservation or booking like a group or something like that. You don't want those calls to go missing because other people are calling just to ask for outdoor seating. So in those cases, having an AI agent kind of helps you make sure that only the right calls are transferred to your team and you're making the best out of your team's time. Now, on top of that, you can also train your AI agent to say something like, if the call transfer fails, collect the name and message and email it to Ashish. And just like that, if the call transfer fails, you can, just quickly add a tool that lets the AI agent send an email to Ashish. I'm going to say Ashish at echo.win. And just like that, now our AI agent is able to handle as many calls as needed at the same exact time. And even if your team is busy handling some high value calls, it'll be able to take messages and make sure that there are no leads that go missing, right? So a lot of different ways you can use it, but I hope that kind of opens up your mind to all the possibilities. Again, our platform is very open-ended, and feel free to jump in and get creative. We've seen there are a lot of different use cases we built the platform for, but every day we wake up to some new, unique ways that people have used the platform to build agents that we never thought were even possible ourselves. So, all the things that we're talking about here, these are just some of the obvious things we've seen, but yeah, feel free to try different things. I'll leave.
Once again, the same thing with email too, just like transfer tool. Now that you saw the email tool, you can keep yourselves and your staff in loop in terms of what's going on with customers for any critical use cases. You may want to email yourself and be aware. And you can train the agent to email yourselves and your team members in a variety of different scenarios.
Exactly. Now, on that note, you could make your workflows very dynamic as well. And what I mean by that is, let's imagine you have a intake agent. You're a law firm, and there's probably a set of 10 questions that you ask every single customer every single client that comes your way that wants to kind of go through the intake process, right? As you're going through the process, you can even add dynamic instructions where you can say things like, if the case is urgent and they need to talk to someone immediately, just transfer them over instead of having them go through the whole process, right? Or let's say you're building a sales agent and maybe you want people who are highly interested in something, maybe they're ready to make a purchase. You don't want them to have to go through the same flow as everyone else. So you can just instruct things like, hey, if someone seems like they're ready to like make a purchase, transfer them over to sales directly, right? So as you can see, there's so many ways to use this. Okay, wrapping up the part about transfers here. Feel free to play around in the platform. It is free, by the way, if you didn't know. Let's quickly talk about scheduling. So scheduling is another big use case that we see across a variety of different businesses. Everything from small barber shops all the way up to bigger corporations where you might need to schedule with like multiple people involved. Our platform can help with those cases. And we've seen that scheduling is definitely one of the top use cases for AI agents right now. And there are a few different ways to approach scheduling. Now, first, our platform is really robust. You can add a bunch of different scheduling tools. So, if you use Google Calendar or Microsoft Calendar with Outlook, or Wix or Square, you can directly connect your calendar, configure some things like how long you want the meeting to be and everything else that's needed. And just like that, your agent will be able to quickly book things directly on your calendar. And the way that works typically is, you will the agent will ask for all the relevant details needed to book that calendar entry, and then it will suggest some times in the calendar. You'll first check your calendar to see what times are available, and then based on that availability, it will suggest some times, and if like everything is confirmed, it will actually book a thing in your calendar, right? And this is like the same for all of the different platforms that are directly integrated. Now, there might be cases where you might be using a third-party tool like Calendly. I think there's a bunch of new ones these days to manage your booking. In those cases, what you can do is you can actually train the agent to say something like, when someone wants to book an appointment, um, send them a link to my calendar via text. And you just give it a link, cal/demo. That's our demo link. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And what you can do now is you can enable the agent to send a text message to your caller. So just by adding that tool, now your agent is able to book appointments in your calendar directly via Calendly or one of your own calendar hosting services. So this is another way to set up your calendars. Now, third,
Perhaps, do you want to test this out real quick? Just give it a quick
yeah,
pause.
we'll definitely test it out. Let's test it out after this. I want to mention one more approach in terms of integrating calendars here. And this one's probably more useful for some advanced use cases, but you can also integrate with your calendar using Zapier or webhooks. Now, let's say you have your own in-house calendar software that you built for your business. where you want to directly plug into, or maybe you want to collect some information like account number or something so that you can connect the account number together with that calendar entry. In those cases, you can collect whatever information needed during the call, and then call a webhook or HTTP REST API call to your service that will then do the booking, right? Same thing can be done with Zapier now. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Most of you guys are probably familiar with Zapier, but you can call triggers within Zapier using echowin. So you can collect whatever information you need to collect during the call and send that over to a Zapier trigger. And then Zapier can then go out to any calendar service. I think they support over 8,000 different business applications at this point, and that list is always growing. So your calendar software is probably there. Now, this could be like a patient management system or a case management system for law firms, right? A lot of those have built-in integrated booking systems. And then if you want to integrate with those, that's another way to go about it. So few different ways to do calendar booking. Let's quickly test out what the sending a link looks like over here. So I think I already saved this. Great. Let me quickly see if we have voices and everything set. Let's actually switch it over to, I really like the Ember voice. I'm going to switch it to that. Okay, let's go back to instructions. I'm just going to dial in from my phone here and put it in speaker. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it.
This call may be recorded. Thank you for calling echowin. Am I speaking with Kaushal? Could you briefly tell me what you are calling about today?
Yeah, hey, can I book an appointment, please?
Sure, I can help with that. Would you like me to send you a link to book your appointment via text?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Would you like me to send the appointment booking link to your phone number ending in 9012?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I've sent the appointment booking link to your phone. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Oh, I don't know if you guys can, my thing is cutting off, but yeah, I got a booking link. Let me just hang up the call here before. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Send me the booking link. Now I can go to the calendar and then book the appointment. In the same way, you know, the scheduling tools, the directly integrated ones work like that too. And then, yeah, talking about visibility, right? You get like call recording and all sorts of transcripts as we test out these calls. Okay, so that's scheduling. I think it's pretty obvious. Did you guys have any questions about that? Feel free to drop them in the comments, and we can chat about it at the end as well. Ashish, anything else you want to add to the scheduling portion?
No, I think you covered all the grounds. Most of the businesses we've seen, they either do the calendar link and just text the link or integrate with the calendar directly. And we've seen a lot of businesses integrate with their Google Calendar. And honestly, the experience is very similar to how you'd book any appointments with any human operator.
Totally. Pretty seamless if you do the direct integration, and then even the text messaging stuff, right? It works out really well because it's not a complicated setup, and then your existing Calendly link or Square link or whatever you're using will work as is. So there's that. Okay. One more thing I want to add, since we're on the topic of sending things via text message, I think this is actually one of the most underrated tools that echowin agents have access to, being able to send things to your customers. And the reason it's so powerful is because you can not only send links to book your appointments and whatnot for the calendar, but you can also send things that the user might need to access in the future. For example, right, maybe you build a sales agent whose job is to understand the customer's requirements and give them an idea of what the budgeting looks like, what the pricing and everything looks like. So maybe you're building a quoting agent for your business, right? If you're in like professional services, home repairs or something like that, you might not be able to give like a really accurate quote till someone comes and actually inspects the thing. But then just kind of giving people a rough idea of, hey, this is ballpark like what this is going to look like. That right there will increase conversion rates, right? But then to take that one step further, you can train your agent to say things like, hey, offer to text the quote, or like, the initial quote to the caller as soon as it's ready. And in that case, like, the agent would give the quote and say, hey, so approximately, for this kind of repair, your cost is going to be $1,200. Would you like me to send this information by text? And what that does is it kind of helps people kind of retain that information. And if they need to quickly access it in the future, they'll have it in their text. But then you can also use the same thing for things like sending addresses, for example. So, we've seen this again and again with multiple businesses where when someone asks for where the business is located, instead of just telling them the address, offering to text it to them will increase the chances of them quickly clicking on the address and adding it to your phone's navigation. Everyone uses phones for navigation these days. And then actually go into the business, right? It just reduces that friction from like having to search for that address to just being able to click a few things. So I would say don't sleep on sending text messages. There's a lot of different ways you can use text messages, and feel free to get creative. We've seen businesses send things like everything from like billing payments links so that you can collect payments, to scheduling links, to sign up links if it's like a web service where you want to redirect the customers. Sometimes you might do like some pre-screening through the phone, and then once you figure out what type of customer they are, you could send them the right type of onboarding link so that they can take it from there, right? So many different ways to use that. The best
One
part
more
is,
thing.
yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Ashish.
You could also send coupons, and we've seen a lot of businesses send coupons for the right service and product, and instantly see the conversion. So that's another powerful use case.
Yeah, so absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. Being able to offer discount coupons and things. I mean, Jiffy Lube, a key client of ours, they're using this very effectively. Where every time a caller calls and asks, "Hey, do you guys do oil changes on my 2016 Toyota Corolla?" They'll say yes, and this is the type of oil change options we have. Here's the pricing. Would you like me to send you a coupon? That increases the likelihood of that person going to going to that service by a lot, because as soon as they have a coupon, there's more reasons for them to not call around and ask other places, right? So absolutely, you can increase your conversion rate visibly by just kind of figuring out some of these workflows that you can enable with the texting tool. Great. All right, so that's texting. Now for a receptionist use case, I think for the most part, you're going to be either taking messages, you're going to be either scheduling calls or transferring them to people, right? To take messages, as we could see earlier, you can literally tell the agent to collect these things and then send that as a email, or you can also like send that as a text message to one of your team members, right? So that you can like call back or follow up later as needed. So for AI receptionist use case, I would say that those are the key tools, and we've seen like really really successful deployments that handle huge call volumes for the receptionist use case, which is also why it's one of our primary use cases that we support. The next one then is AI customer service agent. Now, it doesn't matter if you have like a product company or if it's a SaaS or whatever type of business you have, you might need some form of customer service. And our platform lets you provide customer service to your customers at scale and across different customer touch points. One of the goals with echowin, and one of the reasons we went with the omni-channel approach, where we support deploying the same exact agent to your phone, to your website chatbot, to WhatsApp, Discord, and other channels coming in the future, is so that your clients can find your business wherever they're more comfortable. Now, some people prefer calling. Others might just prefer to chat with a chatbot on the website. I'm personally on that camp where it's like I'm doing like 10 things at a time, and being like instead of like having to talk on a phone call, I can be in another phone call and still have a chat on the side and get things done, right? So different customers will have different preferences. We've seen that, some folks in some industries like just dialing in and talking on the phone, and that also increases accessibility because you can be, you can be on the phone when you're driving or doing other things as well. So your customers will have different preferences. And for customer service, just kind of having the ability to be available wherever they prefer is going to be huge. And we make that really easy. So the way it works is like you would instruct the agent, just like we saw, the tools and everything, they're all the same. And then when you're ready, once you're done testing, once you make sure that the agent is ready to go out in the real world and talk to your real customers, that's when you would go to deployment. And from here, you can directly ship these agents to a bunch of different platforms. Now, phone is definitely the key, and we also have built this one of a kind phone number search engine that I quickly want to go over. What it does is like it kind of gives you a very brandable phone number that you can quickly deploy your agents to. Let's just try it out real quick here. So I'm going to say United States. We're an AI agent builder platform. Then I will say echowin. And once you define my number, this system uses generative AI to find phone numbers for your business. And one thing we realize is like, phone numbers are more than just phone number. They're like picking your domain name or email address or the business name, right? But as you can see for echowin, it gave us some really solid options here. 6826 bot win or AI help or winbot, right? And once you know which number you're going with, maybe I'll go with this one for now. You just click on it, and within a few clicks, your agent will be live with that phone number, and your customers can start dialing it, right? So we make it that easy to deploy it. And then same thing with web chat. You can quickly build your agent and then deploy it to your website. You'll have options in terms of being able to configure themes, add like the default prompts. There's like, a bunch of different options you can pick. Initially, when you start the conversation, you can also gather some information, and you can add like custom fields you can gather, right? So maybe your business requires an account number or some other thing that's an identifier for your customer, so you can add those here as well. And then just like that, your agent is ready to start talking to your customers the same exact way, on the phone and also on the website. Same thing applies to WhatsApp Business. We realize, in the US, I guess WhatsApp is not the primary channel, but we realize in most parts of the world, WhatsApp is the way that people communicate with businesses. And then we wanted to make sure that your agent can handle those conversations as well. So that's the multi-channel part. Let me know if you guys have any questions. It should be pretty obvious. One more thing I do want to drop here is that our long-term goal is to make all of this really, really coherent and cohesive with each other. So the goal here is you start talking to your AI agent on a phone call, and maybe you have to drop out of the phone call to jump into another call. Then you can take that conversation and continue it over on the website chatbot or through text messaging directly on your phone, or no matter where you are and what platform you're using, you should be able to communicate with the agent and just kind of continue the conversation from where you left off. That's kind of where we're heading to. We still have some work to do there. But let me know if that something like that would be useful, or if this is something that you guys want to see in the platform. Okay. That's the multi-channel part. Let me quickly check the chat here. I haven't even keeping an eye. Okay, so it looks like we're good there. Okay, so that's one. The other one for customer service is you might have a ton of information that your callers might ask about, right? So depending on the type of your business, you might want to include, you might want to train your agent on information such as the services that you offer or the products that you sell. It might be pricing, it might be hours, it might be all the little details and nuances about a certain like technical product, right? There are so many things that people might ask. And to kind of make sure that your agent is ready to handle all those scenarios, we have a really handy knowledge base built in. Now, this, you can use it in a few different ways. First, this, I think, if you don't already have a knowledge management system, like a CMS or something like Confluence, for example, this you can use this part of the platform as your centralized knowledge management system as well. So you can, our platform lets you invite additional team members. You can go to configuration, users, and then you can invite however many team members as you need. And then everyone can work together to collectively build this knowledge base and, kind of have a certain set of information readily available when needed, right? So there are a few ways to add knowledge. Q&A references are pretty straightforward. You just add question answer pairs. So things like FAQs, frequently asked questions, or whatever might be needed can be added here pretty quickly. If you already have a web page that contains information about your business, you can quickly add the web page, and then the agent will automatically pull information from there. And then we also support uploading documents. Now, one thing that is on our roadmap that will be coming to knowledge base soon is being able to quickly search for information directly from here. So the idea here is that you can just quickly go here and say, hey, what was our cost for XYZ product? And then within your knowledge base, the agent will be able to go in there and then find that information. Now, you can already do that by deploying this to a phone or a website chatbot, right? And then you can just ask the chatbot all these questions, but then just kind of having it in the platform should be nice as well.
Or
Let
just
me
test
know.
it out.
Right, or just to quickly test it out as well. So let me know if that would be a useful feature as well. But that's the knowledge management portion. Now we are going to be adding a lot more things here. We have some things on our roadmap that I can talk about today. One key one that I'm really excited for is being able to connect uh, directly to your other data sources where you might already be collecting your company knowledge. So things like Google Docs, for example, right? Like, so just being able to quickly connect to your Google Docs and adding things from there into your knowledge base, I think will be really useful. So we're working on some of those things. That's knowledge base. Now, when it comes to customer service, some of the key benefits here are, first, you can scale it out massively, right? Especially if you have a e-commerce business or something where you're talking to customers across time zones, across different locations. Having a centralized support touch point where your customers can call or chat and ask questions at any time of the day will be really, really handy. A lot of times people, when they start like looking at things to buy, they'll have questions and they'll try to like find the answers from obvious places like a website, right? But then just kind of having a phone number where they can just ask any question about your business will increase the conversion right away there as well. And the best part is our platform can handle as many phone calls as needed at any time, even if it's like 2, 3 o'clock at night, right? So you don't need to have like a dedicated support team waiting. The second part of this is with a team of humans, right? Like let's say you hired a call center or like you have an in-house team that handles a lot of these questions. Consistency is usually an issue, especially in call center environment. One of my first jobs was at a call center, actually. I was working for Apple Care tech support, and one thing I noticed was how hectic the job was. People get, they get heated up and they get mad at the company and the product. Sometimes it's like a user error, right? Like things they cannot figure out on their own. And then when they call, they'll throw all that out at the person on the other end who's just representing the company and trying to be helpful. But because of that, there's a huge amount of churn internally. There's a lot of turnover in call centers. And what happens is like, even if you're sourcing it to a company that handles call centers, you'll probably provide them with some materials to help them train their new hires and employees, right? So a lot of times this could be some form of a knowledge base or whatever it might be. But then when your callers call and ask questions, the consistency will be all over the place. And this is a complaint we've seen again and again from a lot of clients that we get. One person might be able to answer a question a certain way, others might give different answers to the same thing. Sometimes there might be missing information, and things can go in so many different directions. With AI agents, you can solve that consistency problem because once you train the AI agent on certain information, once you provide the right instructions, first, we provide that testing ground that we showed earlier where you can meticulously try out all the different things that your callers may ask and make sure that the agents are responding with the right things. But then second, once you know that something works, you can be sure that doesn't matter how many callers call your agent at the same time, they'll all get consistent answers for things. And this will help you maintain your brand image. This will help you make sure that no wrong information is getting passed around, or this will just reduce a lot of things that could go wrong when it comes to like not being consistent with things. So that right there, I think, is a huge boost. Um, we've also seen scenarios where you can use AI agents as like the front line, where the AI agent will be the primary point of contact. So someone calls for customer support issues, agent will go through some standard operating procedures to kind of figure out what the issue is, and maybe even do some light troubleshooting. I mean, we've seen ISPs, for example, right? Apparently, most calls that ISPs get is around, hey, my internet is not working. So when I say ISP, internet, I'm talking about internet service providers. The most frequently called reason is to say, hey, my internet is not working. And then apparently like 50 to 60% of those cases can be solved just by restarting your router. Now, instead of having a person pick up that phone call and asking the callers to say, hey, can you try restarting the router? Did it work? Did it not work? You can just train the AI agent to do that. So when someone says, hey, my thing is not working, the agent would say, can you try restarting the router? If it still doesn't work, then you can use the transfer tools that we talked about earlier to escalate that call over to a person which can provide like tier 2 support, right? Where they can do advanced troubleshooting. But for these common use cases, you can just literally train the agent to go through some steps to kind of avoid getting all the calls to your human team, and then having them be overloaded with like some of these low-hanging fruits instead of focusing on the actual difficult problems that require human intervention, right? So that I think is like a huge use case right there. And then, yeah, for customer support, another important thing is making sure your customer satisfaction levels are high, and making sure that your customers are, getting the support they need. And to make that easier, we have a few different tools in the platform. One is our sentiment analysis system. So we have a one-of-a-kind sentiment analysis system, which kind of gives you an at-a-glance idea of how your customer service operations are running. Now, this is fully powered by generative AI, and we're not just feeding the transcript into some LLM and asking it to rate things. Even tiny little fluctuations in the tone of the voice, the way that people phrase things, and tiny little emotions that are harder to catch even for humans will be will be factored in by this system. And yeah, you'll get like a last 30 days sentiment average for all of your phone calls. And green is good, red is bad, so that's the general idea here. But then you can also get this same piece of information for every single phone call that you do, like that one we just did. Apparently I was neutral for 90% of the time and happy for the 10%. So yeah, this we think is going to be a very useful tool in your toolkit. And we're thinking of ways to take this further. We're doing some R&D around how we can get you proper customer satisfaction scores, so that you can make more data-driven decisions without having to do the typical methods of like sending surveys and things like that, because those tend to get biased quite a bit, and the effectiveness is like pretty low. So we're thinking about evolving this in so many different ways that will help you make sure that your customer support is consistent. Okay, that's all I have to say about customer support and customer service. Ashish, anything else you wanted to add there?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I want to mention is we've been looking at different use cases, and some of these are basic and simple use cases of transferring, but the agents are capable of much more complicated scenarios and situations. And once again, you can train the agent using the same interface, our instructions, to train to do a variety of different things, collecting information from callers, and then make decisions after that. And then, after making decision, they can do a variety of different jobs afterwards to, for example, data entry or dispatch or escalation and routing, and even trigger other workflows. So there's a lot you can accomplish, and the best way to figure that out is just test and iterate in that space. Just want to share that. And one more thing before, I think we're almost running out of time here, is also our agents are able to do outbound calls. Obviously, there are some restrictions around outbound calls. We don't want to spam people, but then there are valid use cases like delinquent calls and collection calls and appointment reminders and so many good things that we can do by making these agents call your customers. Just want to share
Yeah.
that.
Thanks, Ashish. I know we are short on time, so I'll quickly go over some other things. We talked in detail about some of the key use cases that we've seen that have been deployed in the real world with high success rates. But then, we've seen some like really unique use cases as well. Like one big one is like internal workflow automation. Now, if you're a big enterprise with like 3,000 employees, right, there's a lot of activity that happens internally that you're going to need to automate. So think of things like anonymous HR hotline, or even things like creating a employee hotline where they can call to see if they can expense something on the company card, right? That seems to be ambiguity in a lot of different workplaces where it's like, hey, can I expense this or no? Like my client dinner, like how much of it can I expense, right? So there's, just having a hotline instead of someone having to email someone and wait for a response will just kind of expedite that process. And you can take that further by integrating these agents into your company's internal expense reporting system, for example. Like someone could maybe just talk to a chatbot and report expenses instead of having to go through like 30 different portals, while also being able to ask questions in the same exact place, right? So we've seen use cases like that. Another one is like dispatches. Now, we've seen security companies, and this was kind of a surprise when we first came across this use case. We've seen security companies dispatch folks that are on duty at the moment dynamically just by using AI agents. So, if someone says, hey, there was a burglary reported on this location, all that information will be collected first over the phone call, and then the AI agent would check the roster of like people that are currently working and actively on duty, and then it would send text messages to everyone saying, hey, they're like dispatched to XYZ location for this reason, right? So we've seen things like that. We've seen companies replace traditional web-based forms with phone calls. One example is, this is a company that dispatches field technicians all around the country that would go out and work on electrical panels and different things, but they would need to report back at the end of the day saying, hey, these things got done and these things are still remaining. Problem was that not all parts of the country have proper internet access, and a lot of the reports went missing, and they were like double booking and getting like the same thing done twice. Because of that, they instead turned all of that into a hotline that these field technicians could just call from their truck as they were driving back home, and that kind of solved their problem completely, right? So you can get really innovative with some of these things. Now, internal ticketing, there are so many other ways. Now, another key use case is also in the sales and lead generation pipeline. If you get a ton of leads and maybe not all of them are qualified for someone to manually kind of start an engagement, right? And you don't want most of your team to be focused on just kind of filtering out the leads. So instead, you could like, one example would be for like hiring, HR and recruitment, right? So instead of taking up precious workforce time to call every single candidate, talk to them and screen them and make sure that they're eligible for the position, you could automate that whole thing with an AI agent that will do the initial screening by asking certain questions. And then if they're eligible, they can move on to the next stage, right? So something like that is something we've seen successfully deployed out there. Okay, outside of that, there are so many ways to use this. Reservations for restaurants, menu questions, ordering, client intake for law firms, benefit companies like telling their enterprises, creating a hotline so that people can ask about benefits and ask questions around there. HR, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. And we try to keep the platform open-ended so that if you have some new novel concept in terms of, hey, something like this could be done by an AI agent, that's an everyday pain point for you, you can absolutely go out there and build. We don't put like any restrictions or bars in terms of what you can build. So yeah, and if you do build something cool with the platform, please definitely let us know. We love coming across different use cases and exploring how we can further make them better. But with that being said, hopefully today's session was useful in terms of kind of thinking through all the things that AI agents can successfully do in the real world today, and also modeling them behind the scenes in our platform. Um, I know we're over time already, but if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them here. And yeah, I'll pass it back to Ashish if you have any closing thoughts there.
And more than closing thoughts, if there's one thing you guys want to take out of this session, training your AI agents within echowin is almost like training a human being. You hire a new receptionist, and then you have to explain things to them, right? Hey, greet our customers in such a way. This is our tone. If such and such happens, make sure you collect all this information and then enter all that data in our system. And if such and such happens, make sure you route the call to K, right? Things like that. Pretty much you can go to our platform, go to instructions, and write everything in plain English. And the way our system works, as you saw today, is instructions and tools. Just like, for example, for a new hire, you would provide them with all the onboarding instructions. At the same time, you also provide them with different tools, logins to different platforms and tools. So our instructions and tools work in a very similar way. You can really explore and build something that can automate 50, 60, 70% of your day-to-day operations. So give it a shot and let us know if you have any feedback. But yeah, thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, the platform is free to try, by the way. If you haven't signed up already, please sign up and give it a shot. Let us know if there are some use cases that you want the platform to support better. Maybe there are some gaps that we're not seeing, and this is where we want your input. We want to make sure that we're building these tools to help you be successful with whatever type of automation that you're trying to enable with these AI agents. But on that note, thanks everyone for sticking around. We'll do another webinar here in about a month or so. Let us know if you have any big questions in your mind that we can answer during that webinar. And then, yeah, we'll follow up with some more things shortly. Have a great day, everyone.